Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition with Jen Drakes. And tonight, as we get going on our stream, so much to talk about, but we've titled the stream this time around to be Love is More Than a Month. And what an interesting concept. Um, and that doesn't mean because we just kickstarted the love month, and you hear a lot of people using that a love month. We've just literally kickstarted it, and everybody, everywhere you look, our hearts and all of that. And my view is that, and that's great. Like the 14th culminates like mid month. We culminate into the Valentine's Day, where and already even before you were seeing the hearts and the teddy bears and anything and everything to do with love on the shelves, like store shelves and everything like that. But I've always had the perspective that while Valentine's is wonderful, to be reminded and to reset and to acknowledge everyone in your life you care about, and just even as individuals, just as one human to another, to have that, love leading you the way. My view is that love is definitely more than a month, and we always need to be focused in that way to even start our day and to get ready to encounter others in our day. That we always lead with love. And I always say that, and I'll just show you this: lead with love. Those are my three words that I live by. Um, and I really believe it. It's an everyday thing. So it's definitely more than a month because February will come, February 14th will come. And the very next day, you have the 15th, the 16th, the 17th. And yes, on the 14th, we can we can take that effort to reach out, to connect, to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. But hopefully, that's not where it just ends. And that's not where it just begins and, starts and ends, but it continues throughout the year to just keep us, to always lead that way in our daily lives, and to treat everybody with respect and grace and all the wonderful things that you would want to be treated that way. And you first do that by treating others the way you wish to be treated. So love is more than a month. And as I said, for sure, I have no issue celebrating Valentine's Day, call in February the love month. But just keep in mind that love is the highest power that we can actually express and, you know, aim to get to. And therefore, it should be a daily thing, first to ourselves and then to others. First, we love ourselves and then we can love others. So, welcome to the love month. Welcome to the love month. There's a lot, even though I titled the stream Love is More Than a Month. I also, there's other things that I want to talk about related to February. So, but for now, like for this first hour, let's talk about Valentine's. What are your thoughts around Valentine's? And do you celebrate it? Do you pour all your energy into the 14th, and even in your relationships, and then everything pales after that? Or do you keep that constant aspect of going on? And one of the things that I want to talk about that we tend to do is we tend to get sometimes very superficial with love, where we say it because it's become a habit to say. So we say, I love you, or all of that. And at what point we've got to be consciously ensure with our intent that it isn't becoming a superficial thing we just say, but we actually are intentional when we say it and we mean it when we say it. So just be careful that those three words aren't all of a sudden becoming very superficial, and there's nothing behind those three words except that you say it. So to we have to be conscious of these things, and as I keep saying, the intentions of everything that we do is very important, that we go in with the right intentions and the right heart to the things that we do and the actions that we take. And I think those three words, I love you, is one of them. So let's learn to truly live our lives by leading with love. And that way, when Valentine's come around, it's just a little bit of icing on an already coated cake, and you're just having fun celebrating that. But it doesn't change on the 15th, and it doesn't change on the 16th, and things of that nature. And when you look at someone and say I love you, you actually do mean it. And you can embrace them and hug them and really care about them every single day. And even when they get you angry, or when when things aren't perfect, and things never are, but when things aren't going right, you can still find the love to even help through those difficult times. And you're not ready to just quit. You're not ready to walk away. You're not ready to do these things just because it's easy, and you can actually tap into the love that's there. And that doesn't mean staying just because of staying. If you have a broken relationship, either make the decision, make the choices, and evaluate your own circumstance and make decisions accordingly. But you know having an ex myself, I can tell you there's no malice, hate, or anything there. There's still love. um and that's not to say we'll ever get back together, but there's still love for that individual. And we have to be able to find it in ourselves to understand those dynamics, and be intentional, as I said, and authentic and integral with what is going on in your life, even from the relationship and the love perspective. So, to what degree are you, as you prepare for the 14th of this month, as you look at who's around you, are you authentic in your expressions of love? And is it just during the 14th of February that you get indication of love, and nothing else throughout the rest of the year? And my viewpoint is that it should be there in a more consistent basis in your life, not just on a day that we celebrate love. So just interested to know your thoughts and around that. As I say, love is more than a month. A month, love should be in your life, throughout. Even if it's just love for yourself, there should be love there, present in your existence. And we have to start by loving ourselves, so we can overflow that to others as genuinely as we can do it to ourselves. And many times we do it for others, and we don't take time to do it for ourselves and love ourselves. So, there's lots of coaches out there that speak to this and about the wellness of it, and the wholeness of it. But start to love yourself first, so you can overflow to others. But more importantly, wake up every day with an intention of love to whomever you encounter. Lead with love. And as I showed before, that is my motto. Those are the words that I live by. And this is from my store front. I'm trying to hold it properly. It's so funny how when you're thinking the camera, there we go. Right? So lead with love. And there you can see that's in my store. It's a water bottle. But I have it on product because those are the three words I live by. Those three words saved my life. Lead with love. Those three words made my life really simple. It really did. It simplified my life because you wake up already with the intention of love and you then embrace everybody from that intention that started with you. So love is, is present in my everyday dealing with the people that I deal with. And uh, so I think it changes your life when you have those three words, and you can create your own, but those three words, as I said, have much meaning for me, and hence why they're on my in my storefront and on my products and merchandise. But it really does set the intention as you wake up, and it really does impact how you deal with people, so that when you encounter ones that are not having the best of days, you really have the grace and the empathy and the capacity to to really connect with them in a meaningful way. An example is the other day I was in a restaurant, and there was someone coming from the cooking area of the restaurant. Every time they came out, they weren't smiling and they seemed really serious. And I couldn't understand that, because I was like, okay, it's a beautiful day, like beautiful evening for a winter evening. It was really nice. It was it wasn't overly busy that customers are sending you crazy. And after this happened for about 4 5 times, when they came out um, for the next time, I just looked at them and I said, "Why are you not smiling? Like, what's going on? Why you have such a serious face?" And it immediately changed their whole persona, because I don't think they realized um, that was their demeanor. And then they smiled, and they had a beautiful smile. So, and I said, "There you go." And then they started to laugh, and you could see that they were thankful that I had actually pointed it out to them, because they were not aware. So sometimes we do things outside of our awareness that isn't really representative of us and what's in our heart. So it's nice when people sometimes can compassionately point those things out, and then you just reframe. And as I said, the whole body lightened, the whole face lightened, the smile came out, and it was wonderful. And then after that, they were smiling. So we can do that for each other at any point, and it's still a compassionate demonstration of I care about you as an individual. And we're not talking, romantic love and all of that, but just love from the heart. It's one of our highest things that we as humans, it's considered to be the greatest power that we have. So let's not just use it or leverage it on one day, but let's do it for our everyday, and intentionally from the time we get up to the time we go to sleep. And as I said, one of the things I found in living that way was I had less drama. Um, I got triggered less. People couldn't get under my skin like before. And life was a more even keel, and it was more pleasant interacting with people. Because when you take life on in its pure sense, and you then move away and you're always irritated and you're always angry about something or someone, it's not a good way to live. So lead with love, and recognize that while we're February is considered the love month, love is definitely more than just the month of February. So, I invite anyone who to jump in and be a guest and just tell me their perspective on Valentine's. You can even tell me what you plan on doing for Valentine's. Um, that would be nice to see and get to know, and all of that. So lots of um, things to consider when we think of this month. And it's one of the shortest months. I always thought it was a thing that it's the shortest month, and this month we have 28 days. So we're not too far along into the month, but the earlier I think we start to hone in on our hearts and what the month means, that would be it would be great. Um, as a month, As I said, February celebrates um, Valentine's Day, and there's some other celebrations that occur in February um, around the world and everything. So it's always interesting to see some of the things, Groundhog Day. Like I could also talk about Groundhog Day was on the second, so 2 days ago. Um, then and the groundhog, some of them saw their shadows, some didn't. So I feel it's going to be an early spring, but I could be wrong. I'm no oracle. But I think it will be an early spring, which would be really nice. It really would be. Um, so, and then around the world, we well, not sometimes Chinese New Year falls into um, it falls into February, but this year it was in the January. But also, we have other things that go on in February. We have Rio Carnival in Brazil that happens um, in February, mid February. Uh, the Chinese New Year is still going on. Um, and it'll end probably the end of January. We have the Venus Carnival is in Italy. So there's a lot of festivals around the world, and then there's also some days that is celebrated, like in January we did mental health wellness, and there's some February days, celebrations of days and all of that. So lots of things that we celebrate in February that is worth mentioning. It's also called the Heart Month is February. And of course, I'd probably get a lot of flack if I didn't mention this was we also celebrate Black History Month in February. And I don't, for me, I don't identify with the black language, but the history, of things and people that should be honored is done in this month of February. So many of those things are going on. And that's interesting as well, right? So let's but I really like the Heart Month um, because that now we were talking about our organ and actually giving homage to our hearts and taking care of our hearts health wise and all of that. So there you go um, with the month. So I'm interested to know what some people are doing or thinking about this month that has only 28 days, and just how they think about the month and the love aspect of it and the respect of it, even related to Black History Month, and go from, and just share some of those perspectives. And there's something called Darwin Day that's celebrated on the 12th of February. I'm not as familiar with that, but there's a Darwin Day as well that happens on February 12th. So there you go. So lots going on in such a short month. And I look, I don't, as I said, I don't mind celebrating February and, the fact that it's the love month or Valentine's, but I just believe that it is something that should occur every single day. The other thing that I also wanted to talk about in this stream was just this, the more astrological aspects of things, in that we're still in the structure responsibility aspect of the astrological cycle. And at some point on March 7th, that will turn, um, and we will get more of a transformative type of vibe going on. And definitely the year 2023, there's a lot of things around social change, in terms of where, who you interact with might change. Um, you know, um, like all of your connections might have a bit of a change this year. And it'd be interesting to see how that kind of pans out as the year goes on. But it is supposed to be a year of really dynamic social change occurring. And I just find these things interesting. I do look at it every single year for quite some time now, at the astrological implications of a year and what the general theme will be. And that theme for 2023 is social change. And what will that mean as the year goes on? So we're in the aspect of being structured and responsible, and how that plays out in your life, if you're seeing aspects of those, and then it starts to, to move. And what is interesting, they said, it's not going to be always kind of like this wonderful thing. You're going to have some churn in there that might be felt, whether to what degree it's disruptive to your life or blows up your life or doesn't. I think depends on kind of how you prepared for 2023. And before we came into it, I had emphasized, please try to get the momentum going early on in the year beginning, to drive momentum. And I hope many people did that. And if those that didn't, um, really curious how they're finding the year starting out and everything. But there's a lot of interesting things forming already that will, people are using words like revolutionize and revolution and stuff like that. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how this year turns out. We've already gone through the first month and it went so quickly. Oh my God, it went so quickly. It's just crazy how I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know what it is, but it went by really quickly. And we're already into month two, and that's going to go by quickly, I'm sure. And if we do get a short winter, meaning we only have 6 more weeks left of it, that would be interesting, because then by the time we hit March, we're into March break and all these things, and hopefully the weather is that you can start getting back outside in a much bigger way, and having a more longer summer. Let's see, what turns out. uh I don't try actually to run into um things as much, or as quickly as can be. Hello, 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 my love. How are you? Good to see you. Hugs, kisses. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, we did same thing. We only recently got some snow that we can call snow. Before, we got like just a little bit of flurries here and there. So, and we had warmer than warmer temperatures, because I was outside a lot walking around, and I couldn't believe how warm it was. And now this week we got some pretty cold temperatures. It suddenly dipped to really cold temperatures. So hopefully it starts going back up. But I'm no complaint. I am not complaining about this winter at all. It has been really remarkable. Exactly. I'm not going to complain. All through December, barely any snow. So I'm not complaining at all. But it's good to see you. I was talking about just the fact that this is the love month we're in, and love is more than a month. So when I say that, I think about February 14th, being Valentine's Day, and I say that's great and everything, but really, love should be something that's a daily intention that you set. And my three words are lead with love, and I talk about setting the intention of that every day that I get up. And I found that it has really made less drama in my life, and things are just so much simpler because you are coming at it from a heart space as opposed to, that mind space that you get triggered and you go into the emotional aspects of things when you get triggered. So I just find it makes for really a more simple, non-dramatic way of living. Oh, awesome. Oh, somebody was on a date that went so well. Oh, awesome. Are you going to see the person again? I love these things. Are you going to see them again? Oh, awesome. They're planning for next weekend. I love it. I love it. And is this someone you knew or you met through a friend? How did you meet this person or online? That seems to be, I know a lot of people that have connected online, gotten married, things like that. So, okay. Awesome. And it connected, eh? You really had that connection. Well, take it slow and just enjoy. Enjoy. That's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. And it always feels good that, I once did a poem about when you first meet someone and there's that connection and just how joyful you feel, and all of that's just wonderful. Absolutely. You don't have to thank me. I sincerely meant that. I just take it slow and get to know each other and really enjoy the journey of that. I'm so happy for you. Excellent. And in the love month, and look at that, it's in the love month. How ironic. How ironic. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. So just enjoy and plan something nice next weekend. Oh, I said, yeah, so happy for you. So yeah, so here we are, and so February is a month that really celebrates, has a lot of things going, and just especially when we talk about celebrating also Heart Week, and about, it's also about looking at and taking care of your inner body, and by what you put in the body, and taking care of that instrument that keeps us alive, our hearts, no less, that keeps us alive. Make sure that we're feeding it what it needs, and really looking after our health by, moving, having some, movement every day in our lives, whether it's walking and whether it's going up the stairs. Like, I choose to go upstairs rather than take elevators. If I can get access to the stairs, I'll go up the stairs. I love the exercise of that. I'm so grateful I can do it because I know many people that can't do that. So I'm grateful that I can do that. So I'm always happy to go up the stairs as opposed to taking the elevator. And it just keeps me, gives me the opportunity to be mobile. So just look at doing that, because all when you do those small things, it at least is, doing all the right thing for your heart. And so let's also celebrate that and do everything that we can to keep our hearts and bodies going in a healthy way. And I'm not saying that you have to be a fanatic. I'm just saying, the basic things of getting some movement in, eating, fueling your body with the right things, um, as often as you can. And every one of us, every one of us at some time, you can treat yourself, just don't overindulge. And anything in life is about that, not to overindulge. It's all about balance, right? And just keep that heart healthy. And then there is also being celebrated this month is Black History Month, and I've already seen it started. And some of the things I just, some things I think, like the other day there was uh advertisement that I didn't quite get, but but I think I'm an anomaly. Sometimes I think I am, but that's I'm not sure, but I'm not always pleased by what I see in this month when we talk about these things. And at one point, I saw it being the word black being aligned to culture. I do not consider it to be anything to do with culture. Um, I don't like the term or the word used in that way against anybody, but I also don't like the white word used in that way against people either. I think we're all individuals, and we have a cultural background, and it's nice to get to know the cultural background. And I don't see black as being a culture, but there was language around that, was one of the things that I saw. And I do absolutely support the celebration of the history, um, of our history, and just giving homage, paying homage to those that had an impact, a positive impact in that history. Um, and also, encouraging uncomfortable conversations to get beyond some of the things that have been there historically. But I just think the proliferation of the word has become so much that it, at some points, it just is really not pleasant. And I'm one of them that will say that. Uh, and I ask, why do we permeate it? Why do we pass it down? So here, let me just say my perspective. A child is born without that concept. We as adults, um, carry that on to a child that didn't wasn't born with this concept, and then we pass it on, and then we question why it keeps occurring, why these things keep occurring. But when a child is born, we have the opportunity to literally change things with this new generation and this new child. And yet we pass on these things to the child, and have it continue on the school grounds and all of these places, and then it permeates to another generation, and so on and so forth. I don't understand why we are not nipping it in the bud with all our education and our credentials and our you know accolades. I don't understand why we can't break the cycle of this, um, all around, and just really take people at face value and learn their culture, their real culture, and share your culture, and just, really interact with people on that level that doesn't have all these other things. So that's my perspective, but I know I'm an anomaly. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear other people's perspective on these things. But that's my view um, on it. And so sometimes it can be, hard. There was a Prime ad, as I said, that it was with from Amazon Prime, that had a thing around culture, and black was black forever always, or something like that. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I did not know how to take that in. So um I don't get it. But as I said, I'm an anomaly. My I don't want the stream to be primarily, on that basis. Of course, if people have perspectives, I'd like to hear it, and um appreciate their point of views. But it's just an interesting thing. But the month of February celebrates, and I guess I become fairly neutral in that viewpoint, because I've grown, and the way I see things and think about things are very different from where I was 10 years ago, and caught up in this thinking, but I've now, gotten away from that. So um, it's interesting, because I'd like dialogues to be, void of the labeling and the wounds, and look at, more the solutions, and doing things differently. And for me, one of the things of doing things differently is to just drop those words, and just deal with people as they are, plain and simple. So that that's kind of where we need to go. But 2023, they say again, is all about, this revolution and era for revolution and stuff. Um, and that we're heralding that new era of things to come. And I think that allows us to have a different consciousness, a different lens on certain things, and to question, where that lens takes us in very positive ways, not negative ways, but where can it possibly take us from a positive point of view, especially when we come into the consciousness that we are so much more than we think, and so much more capable, and have such a capacity for love and embrace. And to what degree do we grow ourselves to reach that capacity, or to even aspire to that capacity? It really is about each of us working on ourselves. And by working on ourselves and extending ourselves in a very positive way beyond what we even could imagine, then that's when the world starts changing. That's when things start forming differently. And that's when systems start to change, because the individuals and the majority in a society has changed, and as a result, the laws and all the things start to change with it. So we still have a ways to go, and all of us are on our own little journeys. So none of this is to hit on anyone or put anyone down. It's just to say we're all on different journeys, and some of us are at different points in that journey than others. But I think if each person works on themselves, they would find that growth they're getting in themselves, and their reflection on things, and their changed perspectives really does change their lives. So we have to start from ourselves. And I'm always saying that when I stream, when I podcast, when I do all these things, I'm having you conversations, and this one is no different. It's not about I am handling my own growth and my own change and my own perspective on things. I speak to that, and I try to change, to influence the perspective of others, not by large degrees, but just sufficiently to birth new thoughts, so they can change their lives. And one such thing is, why are we passing on a generational hurt, and a generational wound, and a generational error to our next gens, for them to then pass it on again, and then sit and wonder why nothing changes? So we have the capacity to stop it, and we can do that. I really believe in our ability to do that as humans, and with our learnings and our intellect and all of that. So, while we can keep spinning, I would love for everyone to choose to stop, and just change language, change perspective, and ultimately change lives and systems and society and all of that. And I think we have the capacity to do that. And that's truly said with love in my heart for everybody, irrespective of your persuasion, your culture, irrespective of anything. I think we have the capacity to do this at a individual by individual level. And that's, beyond just celebrating historical points and people and ancestors and giving them homage, absolutely. But also stop permeating what was a hateful language passed to us. Stop permeating that. Stop cascading it, and just nip it in the bud, and stop. Stop. Think about just look at it from a different perspective. Take the time to look at it and see whether your views change or not. I respect anyone that wants to identify that way. I just don't happen to be one of those. So that's just some thoughts on February. And as we come up into an hour, we can start to look at aspects of things, um, and talk about kind of, what do you, where are you today as you think of some of these things, whether we're talking about love, whether we're talking about um, Black history, or I saw someone refer to it as African American History Month, which I thought was a wonderful way to language the month. But as whatever you identify with is respected. But what are some of the things you would do for that, or what do you think about some of the things you're seeing, or things you may not understand? If you want to explore some of those things, that would be interesting. I saw that today on LinkedIn. There had a very courageous, like a lady that came on talking about um, her being in school, and there was a lady of color that was very, very good at the teaching and the classroom management, and she was uncomfortable with it, and she looked into why she was uncomfortable, and this apparently was a clip taken from TikTok, and why she was uncomfortable, and she came to realize it was because all of the things that she was seeing growing up was very Caucasian based, and that persons of color in those things were always in a supportive role. And so she grew up with the impression that people of color were there to support Caucasians. And when she came to that realization, um, and she came to that realization, and then could understand why she was uncomfortable. And I thought it was very courageous of her to come on and talk quite candidly about her own growth, her discomfort, and getting beyond that to truly understand at the source of it. And the reason I bring it up is because it's one of the things that I wrote about in my article in Manual Magazine, was about the illusion of truth effect. And she really showed that up to be so true, because you once you keep seeing repeated things, you actually start to believe them. It's just like before we traveled, we traveled in my younger years every year. And I remember what my impression of Africa was, because every time I saw images of Africa on TV, it was either kids with flies flying around them. It was a thing. And then I in my travels, I met an African family that were queens and kings in their tribe, and they were completely different from the images I had been seeing on TV. Like blew my mind. And talking to them, they were extremely intelligent, well spoken, spoke many different languages, and I was like blown away. And that was my first indication, or impactful thing, not to watch TV. And many of you that follow me know I don't watch TV. I don't. Um, I cut cable many years ago when everybody was still into cable and people couldn't believe I was actually going to take off cable, and I did. And it was one of the best moves I ever made, because then I read, I didn't wasn't subject to the illusion of truth that these things give you, that is completely not marred in reality. And so, this, as I listened to this girl talk about her own journey and her realizations and her growth, I thought, there goes another illusion of truth effect really working and with us. And that certainly was the case with me as a child, till I came to realize these were repeated things we start to believe to be true when they really aren't, even when our intelligence tells us that they aren't true. And I think that's the case for even the language of Black. We intelligently know that that is not the case. That this group of that persons of color are not of the Black color persuasion. And even on LinkedIn, I saw a girl writing, when you speak of this label, put a capital B, because capital B denotes the people versus the color. Use small b for the color and big B for the people. And like, I'm, I don't know what to do when I see these things. You wish you could give up TV? Yeah, just do it. Yeah, just like I just did it, and I've never regretted it. Um, if I want to see something, I can always go find it, but I don't go really searching for it, and I do things on demand. And then it's not. I find out no less. I'm not getting the repetitive aspect of messaging that comes from TV. In TV and with the commercials and everything, there's a repetition of the messaging that starts to become real and starts to become truth. And it's not always that case. And we then have a hard time, you know, deciphering what is truth and what isn't, even when logic tells you it's not true. And I think that's the big thing around it. And it's important to start to see this and start to realize that's what's happening. And this, as I said, this young lady that was talking about how she came to this impression, and it was in her that a person of color shouldn't be better than her at anything. And yet this teacher that was in training with her were beating her and the others in the classroom over and over again, because they were truly excelling and was very good at what they were aspiring to be. And that hit a sore, she just was uncomfortable with it and she couldn't understand. But the fact that she recognized that and questioned it and explored it and did whatever she needed to do to come to an understanding about why that was commendable. Not everybody will do that. And so we start to buy into the untruths. We start to buy into the fables that are fed to us. And that's where things become a little bit, contentious, a little bit disruptive, a little bit, how should I say, segregated, all of these things, to the point that we're self-segregating now. And that to me is disturbing on many levels. And I thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. That they can't give up. They'll see about giving up TV. They can't give up TV, but they'll see about giving up TV. But they can't give up watching me and ex Nia, which is a gamer, um, either. So appreciate that very much. Love back very much. Big love back. So, we have to start thinking about these things and to what degree they have invaded or our subconscious, and how, and the perspective at which we see things, or what we see and think is the truth when it really isn't the truth. And how will we rely on the our logical aspect that tells us and assures us it isn't the truth, but we still think it is, because, or that we have to act this way or do things this way or say these things or all of this because we think we're doing something constructive and all of that, but we're actually living the wound as opposed to solving the wound. And I would urge to just think about it. I'm not here to change anybody. As I said, I will respect how people identify. I simply don't identify that way, and nor do I wish to. Because for me and my next generation, I have chosen to curb the behavior, to curb the labels, to reject them, and to just be individuals and treat everybody in the same way. So to see them, the kids have uh, a kaleidoscope of friends and friendships and a kaleidoscope of cultures to embrace and interact with and learn from and learn with is very enriching. And that they don't, they're not self-sabotaging on that level. So these are things that I just present for thought, for everyone to come to their own, go through their own process of discovery and growth, uh, but not to say you have to think the way I do. I'm frank about how I think about things. And for me, I want to clip that terrible umbilical cord that was thrust upon us and literally stapled to us. I pull out the staples and I let go of that umbilical cord. Ah, exactly, exactly, exactly. That's true, and it's about embracing and just learning the different cultures and the real culture, not what, not around, this language of blackness. It's what is your culture? Are you from Africa? Are you from Cameroon? What is the culture there? Are you from Europe, Amsterdam or Holland? What is the culture there? Are you, is your family Irish? What is their culture? Cultural foods, cultural traditions, cultural, thinking. What are some, like, that's about getting to know people, but not on, skin color or language that's supposed to suggest my skin color of, in which I'm brown and people are calling me black. It's nonsense, in my opinion. And in my opinion, um and I just ask people to think about it. Never before have I seen that word proliferated the way it is, and somehow I'm supposed to identify with it, and I really, really don't. I really, really don't. And I just shake my head, and and wish conversations could unfold, that could unfold in, much more productive ways. So anyway, I won't continue about that. I think I've said my piece. Uh, So now I want to talk about, as we get into the next hour, I want to just, talk about the year and kind of, you know, do you have a bucket list? I'm not even going at it from a goal perspective, but just, if there are bucket lists that you have that you wish to fulfill. I got a book. One sec, let me pull it out. Oops. Don't want that to fall. My hard drive. That would not be good. So I found this book, and you see it, bucket list. See that? And 101 things I want to do. Right? Wow. With my one wild and precious life. So 101 things I want to do with my one wild and precious life. And I couldn't let this go. And it's not it's just a whole bunch of pages with numbers that you put down your bucket list. I have to still fill it in. I've had this for a while, but I still have to fill it in. And I'm kind of glad that I don't I have a tough time filling it in, because to me, if you've got a large bucket list, you should pause a bit and question, why aren't you doing some of those things? Right? Why are you not doing some of those things? So you really want to try that your bucket list isn't too large, I would think, because that means you're putting off things for yourself. You're putting it by the wayside. Some might be for financial reasons, some might be time reasons, um, and all of that. But hopefully, you try to live. If you're living life to the fullest, you should be trying some things that you may not normally try, or that you wish and would put on your bucket list. So the fact that I have to think, a little bit about my bucket list, I'm actually happy about that. If I sat in and was like, do, and keep writing, and I have to pause and go, ooh, okay, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life, because that means I am not living fully. So, like, one thing I would put on the bucket list is the axe throwing. I would love to do an axe throwing thing. I've done escapes, I've done, skiing, all these things, but I've never done axe throwing, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I would also love to do a rage room and just see what that feels like, to just let go and just knock things and get out all whatever rage. I'm not a really rage oriented person, but I would love to get into that space and come out and say, how do I feel now? Let whatever anger I might, because I would really like not, I don't want to know, or to want to be left feeling that I've got rage internalized, because that's only going to lead to health problems. So yeah, I'd love to try a rage room. I think that would be pretty cool, and especially if you go with like friends or family, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, to think of some things in your life that pissed you off, and then to go to town on just random apparatus and things that are around you. So those are the two things I would put on my bucket list. When I was younger, one of the things I probably would have put would be skydiving, but I no longer have any desire to do that. That's definitely left my system. So I don't know if that's an age thing, but it's definitely left my system. I have no desire to do skydiving. But and I did do the indoor one, where you it's supposed to give you the same sensation as skydiving, and that was fun. But it's fun. Just be careful with the axe throwing. I'm told it's fun. Just be careful. I love it. It's fun. Just be careful. That's fine. I have to look. The reason it isn't done yet, because I'm usually one that would actually do it. I haven't taken the time to go and look for where they are. I know they're in the cities, and the city and all that. I know I can get to one. I just haven't taken the time to actually go and look where one is, and actually go and do it. But I think it would be a lot of fun. No problem. Have a good night, Michael. Have a good night. Okay. And really just, even when you get home, just sit and reflect in gratitude for the beautiful date that you had tonight, and just also enjoy anticipating, and looking forward to the next date. Oh my gosh, it bounced back at people when you threw the axe? Really? Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to be careful. Yeah, that does sound a bit dangerous. Ooh, I have to. What in the world? It bounced back. I gotta make sure I throw that right. I'm picturing that. You know how they put it over their head and they go fling. And I've seen people who have, like, when they bring the tape and you watch them, and it just looks like so much fun. But in those tapes, I didn't see any axes bouncing back. So thank you for that warning. I will be on the lookout for that. But it really does encourage me to look it up, because that's the whole reason I haven't gone. I'm not taking the time to actually look up where it is and get details about it. So now I'm going to do that. I'm going to go axe throwing. Where's axe throwing? Let's see where it is. If there's a lot of places. Yeah, I'm actually doing it. Where's axe throwing? In my area, where is axe throwing? Oh, there's quite a. Oh, wow. Oh, there are axe throwing on. Yeah, there are axe throwing places around. Just in around by me, there's about four or five. So there we go. Not that bad. So I can do axe throwing, and I think I am going to look at doing that before my next stream. So I stream next. When do I stream next? Actually, I stream in 2 weeks. So let's look at this. Let me get this, because I'm really excited talking about this. See, this is what happens when I stream. I start talking about things, and then I get into action and into gear, because the only reason I haven't done it is because I haven't looked it up. So on the 18th, I stream again, and I intend to come back and let you guys know I've done my axe throwing. One thing off my bucket list, and there's only two things that I can think of to put on my bucket list. So I will be doing axe throwing. Yay! And then the other thing that is, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna call it, and it closes at 11. The one I'm looking at closes at 11 p.m. So there we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna call and see what is involved in booking for axe throwing. Something I've always wanted to do and get it off my bucket list. So what will you get off your bucket list? If you join me and get one thing off your bucket list, that would be great. And we can share on the 18th about that. And the other thing I'm going to look up is rage rooms, because apparently they have those too. Oh, yeah. So the ones that they have, oh, they're not close by actually. Yeah, they're not close by. So I'll have to look and find a rage room around somewhere. But they're not in my immediate vicinity. I've got to go out I got to drive a bit to get to one. But that is pretty cool. I would love to do that, because it's really healthy for you. It really does. It helps um not it helps to get the energy out of your body, because if you internalize that energy, it has to go somewhere, and a lot of times it leads to health problems. So if you can get the rage out, um, that's great. Um, I wonder if when you get in there, do you like how do you get into the rage space? That's what I wonder. Like when you get into those rooms and you're not angry, how do you get angry to do the smashing? I don't know. Well, for the 18th, for sure, I'm going to do the axe throwing. And then I'm going to see about, yeah, then I'm going to see about the rage room and what's involved. But yeah, I don't know because I don't really, I'm not a rage person. I'm not an angry person. So I just want to know when you go, how do you just start banging things and then it comes? I don't know. I'll let you know when I experience it. What was involved in that? If anybody's been to the a rage room, let join me as a guest and let's and give me some insights. Yeah, I found one. Mm, yeah, it's about 45 minutes from me. So yeah, I'll have to get that off my bucket list as well. Pretty cool stuff. So there, get two things off my bucket list. What things will you get off your bucket list? That's what I want to know. What things are you going to get off your bucket list? Yeah, there we go. So I found one, a rage room. So I'll have to look at that. But first, we're going to do the axe throwing. Yay! Now I'm so excited. Do I look excited? I am excited. Oh, I really, 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 really am excited at that. I will have to book those things. So there we go. See, two things will come off my bucket list in the next little bit. And you will get to share that with me. I will get to tell you about it, and you'll get to share it with me as I tell you my experience in these things. But those are the only things I could think of that I would put uh, in my in my bucket list. But there might be some things that will come up as time. But it takes for me, it takes some thought. Uh, so it'd be interesting to know what you would like to have on your bucket list, or what you would put on your bucket list, or what you would take off your bucket list, or how long is your bucket list? How many items do you have on your bucket list per chance? And if you're joining for the first time, you are spending time with Jen Drakes, who is the, who developed the divine tactical living concept and movement, which is now an institution, and just getting some of my insights on some things, of which were originally the first hour was around the month of February, my insights on that. And now we're talking about bucket lists and exactly what do you have planned for yourself in 2023, just from what you want to get out of things. So let me know. And what are some things that you want to get off of your bucket list? What are some of the things you want to get off your bucket list? Right? So it's so funny. And I talked about love, and I talked about, February being the love month, and I talked about the leading with love as being my motto and my modus operandi. That is what it is. Lead with love. Those three beautiful words are how I set my intention every day. And that's how I go forward with lead with love. And it has certainly instilled a discipline in me, and a more calmer life, and one not filled with drama, and all of that. I so tell me about your bucket list, if you wish to, only if you wish to. I'm not going to force anybody to tell me about their bucket list, but just curious to know what you would take off or put on, or to what degree you have not even set a bucket list, or to what degree you have a bucket list. Interested to know all these things. And, so just chime in and let me know. I'm going to shuffle some cards as I am talking to you. And who believes love is more than a month? Can everybody fundamentally agree with that? That love is more than a month? I am shuffling cards as I'm doing this because there's something I'm going to do in a little bit. So I'm just shuffling the cards right now. So yeah, so bucket list, from the wonderful movie that was so popular, and I don't want to get those types of ages, and one of the things I don't want in my life is regrets. Now, it sounds easy to say that, meaning that some people will probably say you can't live a life without having regrets, and I don't know if that's true. I don't know to what degree that feels true. You know, I think if you are a transparent, direct person, you speak your truth and you live authentically, um, to what degree would you have regrets? If you lead with love and you're not out to hurt anybody, you're not um, out to take advantage of anybody, you're not out to get one up on people. Again, I don't think that you should have a lot of regrets. Um, so I don't know. I'm curious what you think about that. As I said, don't want to. I don't want to have a life filled with regrets. I want to really embrace life and live it to the fullest, which is how I see life. You know, is definitely to live it to the fullest. So, to what degree are you living your life to the fullest? And to what degree are you putting off things that you don't need, that you don't wish to, put off? Or to what degree are you doing things that goes against your morals, your values, and ends up with regrets? So that and that's a personal thing to evaluate and to look and say, you know, uh, am I living my life to the fullest? Am I living it the way um, I won't need to have regrets? So, but nobody wants to live with regret. So, and to what degree is the bucket list? Is a bucket list then the regrets list? Is that another way to look at it? Is that too negative a way to look at it? It's probably negative, and I don't like negativity. So, um, but if you had a bucket list and you didn't do any of the things in the bucket list, I think that's one level, potentially one level of a regret. And if you did some of the things, or you were consistently ticking off things and you didn't get to all of it, that's not so bad, right? I think it can be expected. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to what degree have you lived your life to the fullest? Because that's how we should be looking, is to maximize our life and definitely make sure it's purpose driven, from the perspective of you're doing um, when you're purpose driven, you're using your gifts that were given to you towards some outcome or towards some intent. Um, and then if you aren't using your gifts, aren't doing that, that's where you might find that you spent a whole lifetime and you still don't feel fulfilled. And uh, uh, that to me is part of a recipe for regrets. So it's very interesting to see. And again, the question I ask is, to what degree are you living fully so that you have no regrets, right? So certainly something to think about, certainly. And are you like me, that you don't want to have regrets, right? I think most people say, I don't want to have regrets. Most people would say that. right? So anyway, give it some thought. Give it some thought. Everybody's quietly listening to me. Nobody's jumping on to say, but sure, what's something you've always wanted to do that you haven't done? What's something you've always wanted to do that you have not done and could become a regret if you don't do it? Did you want to travel somewhere? Did you want to travel somewhere? Right? Where did you want to travel? That's, maybe it's a travel, maybe it's just doing something like I talked about. Um, Skydiving. I used to want to do skydiving, but I no longer have any desire to do skydiving. I can tell you that right now. No desire whatsoever to do that. So, what kind of bucket list would you have? That becomes a question. What would your bucket list? What does your bucket list list? Do you even maintain a bucket list? Some people may not, and that's okay too. Some people may not, and that's okay too. Right? But to what degree? I called out two things on my bucket list that I will try to get off my bucket list in the next little while. One was axe throwing. I've always wanted to do that. Um, and the other one is a rage room. I heard about the concept of this, this rage work was, and it was through, some people use it for counseling. And I thought it was very interesting. And the whole rage work, as I said, is if you're not angry about something, or if you're not, it isn't there anymore. Because I've done a lot of work, right? I've worked on myself a lot. And the rage isn't there. What do you do in a rage room to get into rage? How do you get into it? So I'm going to do it and let you know, what did I have to do to get into that space to rage out? What did I have to think about? What did I have to, I'm just curious about that, like the whole process, right? So you go there, you're looking to have fun. Knowing me, I'd be laughing because I'm always laughing. Um, so I'd be laughing and really looking forward to it. And I get there and I'm in that kind of really humorous mood. And then I have to go in a room and pound things. And I'm like, I'm not angry. Well, you kind of need to get angry, I think. So I like to go through that process of how do you how do you get into the rage? So to me, you have to think about something that enrages you or angers you, and then leverage that emotion to pound the hell out of whatever is in there. And then when you come out, are you back to the humorous thing, or you're just spent, or you're drained, or you feel a release? I don't know. I've never done rage work. And I would love to do that, just to understand the the process, both mentally and physically, and all of that. And then, where do you land coming out from that? And I love the concept of it for energy, like transforming that energy elsewhere so that it's not in you, and therefore you are able to heal, and therefore you're able to not get the toxicity of that angry energy doing things internal to your body, if that makes sense, right? It does to me. I don't know, after all those listening, it does. You do understand that if sometimes, if we internalize things and we don't deal with it outright, it stays in our bodies, and that energy has to go somewhere, and many times it goes to our organs and affect our health. So when I talk about expending the energy, is to make sure it does not sit in your body, it is not held in your body, and it therefore opens up for, for the energy to be dispensed differently, but definitely not within you. So I'm fascinated by rage work. I just have a fascination with it, and I would like to try it and experience it for myself. Why? Which is why I would put it in my bucket list. So those things I will put in my bucket list and deal with in the next little while and share with you through my streams. So the first one being axe throwing, because that is a bit of, I would think that's a bit of, but there, I think there's a technique to axe throwing though, because anytime I've watched others who have done it, there's a technique where the axe goes behind, like you start back, you step forward, you step in a certain way, and then you really, like, really throw that thing. Um, Michael on the stream told me to be careful because sometimes the axe ricochets back, which is a little alarming to think about, to say the least. That okay, the axe is going to ricochet back. So yeah, I definitely, that's not something that you want. So we will have to look at that for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, and and make sure you're out of the way, because that one sounds dangerous if it ricochets back. But and you're in gear. All the people I've seen, they've been in gear, but I don't know if they like protected their legs and all that. Anyway, we'll find out. No point in dwelling on it and trying to fathom something you don't know yet. But I will be calling to book time and go and do axe throwing. So cool. And I will tell you all about it. And I'll probably take a group, not just me, but take some friends and maybe even some family, and just have a good time with it. That would be awesome. Axe throwing in the next 2 weeks. So when I come back on the 18th to do my next stream, I will that will be a point of discussion. My axe throwing time. One of the other thing too I wanted to talk about, with, and not to keep the pandemic going, because we're coming out of it more and more. But I finally started to get outside a little bit more, and I went visiting some merchants with some work that I was doing, and I had to go into establishments and talk to them. So, you know, aspect of sales, I suppose. And the first time I went out, I was totally flabbergasted by the level of mistrust that was out there, and suspect, and people were so weary, and it was so draining. By the first time I went out, by the time I was finished, I was completely drained of energy, because I was just floored on, wow, what level, like, what happened in the 3 years of the pandemic that made you so distrustful of people and everything. So it was really an eye opener, certainly for me. So I find it, I don't know if people are seeing that also, or is it just in certain areas, geographically or not, but it was something that I experienced. And then now things are a little um, easier, not as tense, not as thing, or maybe I've gone now used to it. I don't know, but I was like, wow, how do you live like that? How, like, think of the energy it takes to always be suspicious, to always mistrust, to that's a lot of energy. Whoa, that it takes to do that. And what if you chose not to be like that, or not to let circumstances get you like that? That's a choice. And I'm always talking about choice, right? And it's always there, whether we want to admit we have choice or not. We always have choice. And when you get into that type of mentality. And don't get me wrong, I get that there's scammers out there, there's all sorts of pitfalls out there, but to choose to live in a space of distrust every single day and every hour of that day, that is huge amounts of energy that could be put other places to actually put your life in a thriving space as opposed to a surviving space. And I think that's the key thing between the two things, is that when you are constantly in that space of mistrust, you are surviving, you're ready to do survival things. But when you don't, you do your due diligence, don't get me wrong, you don't just blindly, but you're not hampered by it. You can greet someone, you can find out what they're all about, you can talk to them, you can determine your interests, you can do your due diligence, you can do all these things and not use the energy to mistrust openly, blatantly, and right up front with no due diligence. Um, one side is thriving, and the other side is surviving. And you don't want to be in that surviving space, right? You want to be in the thriving space of things. Um, so that is where you have to start to decide, where do you want your energy to go? How do you want to utilize your energy, right? Um, so that we have a choice and we choose these things. But also recognize that if you don't choose, depending on what you choose, you are expending energy either positively or negatively. So think about those things. But I know that being hit and faced with it, it was like, whoa, whoa. How do you upkeep this on a regular basis? So very interesting. And that is coming out of what, 3 years, which I couldn't believe it also when people said it's been 3 years, really since COVID and all of that. What's up? What's up? Brazil. Brazil. How are you? How are you? Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Greetings from Brazil. I'm telling you, this is awesome. I'm you Oh no, it's awesome to be, I get people from all over the globe, but it's all I don't think I'm trying to think if or maybe they've sat quietly and listened and they haven't said they're from Brazil or what have you. But it's nice to meet you. um so yeah. Oh, now McCullough is back home. Awesome. I see now, McCullough, I can relax because now I know you are safely home. I'm such a mama that way. Now I can relax going, you're safely home. I'm good. I'm good. A shout out back to you, Percy. Yes, I'm relaxed now, McCall, to know you're back home and safe. Mwah! Kisses out to you. And thank you for checking back in and letting me know that you're back home. See how I'll tell you, man, my youths are awesome. They're absolutely awesome. So what, Percy, how long were you listening before you said hello and stuff? Were you sitting on just listening? You're with mama. You're with mama. That's what my youths call me. Mama, or the original goddess. How are things with you, Percy? Are you enjoying 2023? Is things going good so far for 2023 for you? Well, I welcome you. I'm really happy to have you here. I hope you'll keep joining in. I do my stream every other Saturday. So my next time on here will be the 18th. My young adults gave me that, the original goddess, for my wisdom, but they affectionately call me Mama. So I'm always when you guys jump on. So follow me per se, and keep jumping in when you see me online. But tell me how your year is going and how everything's going with you. I'm jealous because you're in Brazil. It's warm in Brazil now. Well, it's freezing cold here. We're in minus temperatures. It's cold. Calling me from Brazil. And don't you have your festival? Isn't your festival this in February? Your carnival, is that happening in February? Was I correct and I saw that it was happening in February? Or am I wrong? In your warm weather, all the ones here in cold things are we're envious, and you shouldn't be envious. So, oh, I tease, and I have fun when I stream. When I stream. So per se, are you looking forward? I was talking about February being the love month, and that love is more than a month. So are you looking forward? McCall's gonna have a good Valentine's this year. See me teasing you, McCall? Valentine's coming up. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I am. With the exclamation mark. I am. Awesome. Awesome. I was talking about, you know what you missed, McCall? I was talking about the bucket list. So, for my next stream, I'm going to do an axe throwing. I'm going to try axe throwing, and I'm going to talk about that whole, what it felt like, and have it for my next stream to talk about the axe throwing I did. I'm going to see if I can get it taped and everything. But yeah, so I'm going to do axe throwing, and then the next thing I'm going to do is a rage room after the axe throwing. So I'll get two things off my bucket list. And so far, they were the only two things I could think of to put on my bucket list. But as the days go on, maybe I will think of other things and add to my bucket list. Do you have a bucket list, McCall? Or per se? I will. I will let you know how they go. So I know I agree. The rage room sounds awesome. It really does. But I'm trying to figure what I was trying to figure out, and it's only because I'm always reflecting on things. So when I think of something, my brain just goes on it, and I'm trying to figure it out. And sometimes I end up overthinking, and maybe it's not that like it. When I get there, it might make all sense, and I'll get in. But here's where I was thinking with the rage room is I'm trying to understand if you get there, because it's an outing. It's like a little field trip, right? And a little outing with your friends and family. But if you get there and you're really in that fun mood and laughing, I don't know how you get from that to rage. I'm trying to figure out how do you get from rage. So I can just see me. I'm picturing me kind of hitting this thing like, okay. And I'm trying to get people to edge me on to get enraged. That's where my headspace is right now. That's where my headspace is right now. But I'm sure it's completely something different when you get there. But I can just see me trying to hit this thing, trying to be enraged and I'm not enraged and I can't get enraged and I'm going, come on, think of something. What pissed you off? So I can get enraged. So I want to try it and see. I'll let you know. But that's where I'm trying to get past. How do you get enraged to, in these things to really smash things, right? Because okay, there you go. So that's something. That's something. Right? Any a bucket list is just any to do that you want to do that you haven't done or you plan on or you might have to save for because some of this stuff obviously takes money, so you might have to save for it, so you put it on a list to say I'm going to do this one day. Like someone I know would wants to get their pilot license, so that would be a bucket list item, because it's costly and it requires you to save and stuff. Yeah, I know, but you still. Exactly. I'm like that. I'm not an angry like I'm not a person that gets angry or enraged. So I'll have to work it up and get into it to say, okay, this is something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna, kick the backside off of this thing. But when you're done, I want to know too what I want to capture, and I'll probably have knowing me, I'll have a book, and I'll be writing what's going on and what I'm feeling and everything. I might even end up writing a poem, some poetry about it. But I want to know how you feel when you're done, like when you're done the rage, the rage work, and you come back. I want to know, like when it's all done and over, your session's done, and you haven't even gone to your car yet. You're just in this, still in the space of where the room was, the rage room, or you're outside of the rage room in the lobby or whatever. How are you feeling then? Are you feeling de-stressed? Are you energized? Is your rhythm higher? Like, you know, like I just want to understand that. So I'm gonna I'm gonna get obsessed about this thing till I go to it. So tomorrow I'll be calling my girlfriend and I'll be going, okay, we're going to a rage room. So just just be determined that, just write it in your thing. I'm gonna call, we're gonna book, and we're gonna go. All right. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'll have it booked and I'll have the axe throwing booked. And just so we can figure out how you feel. How does this get done here? So yeah, I'm excited about that now. I really. But yeah, I would hope it's a stress releaser and not a stress giver. You might come, whatever, you come out more stressed than when you went in. Or you might discover some stuff you thought you'd gone over that you really didn't get over. I shouldn't laugh about that, but I would think that would be humorous if you go and you act the rage actually comes out and you're like, where did this come from? Can you imagine? Where did this come from? I thought I was over it. I guess I'm not over it. I know, yelling and I don't know. Maybe that's the introverted part of myself, right? I have an introverted side where I like solitude and aloneness and everything. But to be out there yelling and screaming, I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna see. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a rage person. Like someone would have to really do something and to get me into that state. Exactly. Someone would have to really do something to get me into that state. So to put yourself into that state just by what? Thinking about some things, maybe? I don't know. I'll tell you. I'm gonna document it though. This is something I'm gonna have to document. What did I pull to my mind? Right? The feelings are tied to your thoughts, and I did a podcast on life as an equation, and you guys should go and listen to that. Arrays of living. Arrays, arrays of living. And there's two episodes. There's part one and part two. But I put it life as an equation, and part of it talks about, these things that, your thoughts, what goes through your mind is magnified by your feelings. And so to me, you have to think about something that just helps to bring those feelings out of rage, and then you could go to town. So I don't know if just by starting to hit and hit harder and harder and harder and harder, and you go into that space for rage, I don't know. Actually, Nia was no trouble at all. Okay, Nia was no trouble. Ex Nia was no trouble at all. But yeah, like I just don't know how you get into that space. So we will find out together. We will share it. I will share it. I will share the experience. But I'm now really looking forward to it after talking about it and laughing about it. It's to seeing how I get into this rage. How I get into this rage. So yeah, life is something. So pull out your bucket list, dust it off, blow blow on it, clean it up, and write it. I'm gonna write my two things. Look at this. As we're doing this, I am making no joke about this. I am writing my two bucket things in my bucket list book. I really am. See? So the first one I'm gonna do is axe throwing. I'm actually writing this. You guys think I'm joking. I was not joking when I said I'm doing axe throwing. And then the next one I'm going to do is a rage room. And then I'll continue to add from there. And then I have a little boxes to tick when they're there. See, look, just to show you, I'm not joking. Let me see. Well, there we go. Wrong way. There you go. See? Can you see it? Let it focus. Let it. Come on, focus. Uh, wow, there you go. Axe throwing rage room. And then you see the little tick check boxes. And then I'll check it when it's done. There we go. So my bucket started to fill up my bucket. Ah, at least I'm now using it. Welcome 2023. My bucket list book is being used and will continue to be used as I put it back there, and then I will call things tomorrow and see what's going on and how I continue to add to the bucket list. So there we go. See, now, one of the things that I do want to look up is. So give me a sec. So as I look, because one of the things I was doing as I was talking to you guys, remember I was shuffling cards. So let me see. So I've been shuffling cards as I was talking to you. There we go. And what I was doing, oh wow, it's the very first one. So what I was doing is I have a miniature. Look at this. So for my next one, I know those on some of the platforms cannot see me, but don't worry. I will. What you were hearing me do as I was singing is I have this little mini deck of tarot cards. See, of tarot cards. So I was flipping through those, and I selected a card, and I thought I would share with you what I selected. So I selected in the upright the Ace of Swords, and I'll show that to you as well. Let me just make sure I put it to the camera properly. See, um, there we go. There we go. Ace of Swords. So I selected the Ace of Swords upright, and what that stands for is upright. It's breakthroughs, new ideas, mental clarity, and success. Right. Um, so you have the way what I'll describe the card. It's a shows a gleaming hand appearing from a white cloud. Right. Let me see that. I see that. Um, a, a representation of the divine. Ha! That's pretty cool. Um, there holds an upright sword, symbolic of the mind and the intellect, and at the tip of the sword sits a crown draped with a wreath, a sign of success and victory. Well, this one has an eagle, because tarot cards are the artistry is sometimes a little different from one to the. Um, so they said, well, this it's different depending on the artist, but I loved this artist one. So and I love the smallness of these ones rather than the big ones. So while this ace is a sign of triumph, the jagged mountains in the background suggest that the road ahead will be challenging. You will need mental resilience to navigate this path. Hmm. So let's see. Marks a wave of new energy from the intellectual realms. You may be on the verge of a significant breakthrough or a new way of thinking that allows you to view the world with clear eyes. And haven't I been saying that I am really working on myself, my growth, um, understanding that mindset is the key to everything. It starts with mindset. I have been working very, vehemently and very committedly on that for myself, especially if I am to help others. And, I truly am aiming to help others with their own mindset and the journey of that. I have to make sure mine is where it needs to be and that I have grown. Because I always say I don't ask people to do anything I have not done myself or can't relate to myself. So these are the things. If I can ask people to grow and become resilient, if I am not going through that same journey myself, and I can assure you I am, for some I'm a little further ahead, and probably for others I'm very much back. But it doesn't matter. We are all going on a different journey. But as a master coach and someone that is there to, really change people's perspective to change their lives, that's important to me. So that's a good first start to have picking this card. And it goes on to say you may have a sudden realization or conscious understanding about an issue that has been troubling you and can finally see the path ahead of you. Meditate regularly to clear away the mental chatter and make the most of this intellectual potential. Love it. See this card as a sign of encouragement. It says your mind is in expansion mode. You are open to embracing new ideas, craving stimulation, and you'll jump at the next opportunity to learn something new. And I do believe in being a lifelong learner. So learning something new is always something that inspires and tantalizes me. So that's great to see. You thrive on new ideas, inspiration, original thinking, and vision, and you are excited to pursue new opportunities that draw upon your creative and intellectual abilities. And anybody that has been following me for a while, listening to me, I think can attest that that is indeed the type of person I am. It says when the Ace of Swords appears in a tarot reading, it tells you that now is an excellent time to start a new project, one that requires your intellect, communication skills, and mental power. You may feel inspired to take a writing class, practice your public speaking skills, or get involved in activities that require more brain power than usual. And this is so bang on. And I assure you, I randomly picked this. I did not go looking for this. So that is very interesting and bang on because I'm in the midst of finalizing a tour that I'll be kicking off in March. And it's a 9 city, 9 month tour in the local vicinity where I am, just moving across the southern area on the cities. So bang on, that's definitely going to be a challenge, but it is a really exciting challenge to have. Um, how might you draw on this ace's motivation and take action on your new ideas? As an ace, you are at the beginning of the journey, but you can sense the energy building up and can't wait to get started. That is so true. If you channel this energy into the right moves, then you will succeed in your endeavors. Glad to know that. Um, just a tour is not an easy thing logistically to orchestrate. So glad to know that. Just remember that the road ahead may be bumpy and you can expect challenges along the way. Of course, that is to be expected, but then you go into gracefulness and grace mode and gratitude mode when you're going through those challenges. And take the lessons that they're there to deliver. Maintain a success mindset, and you will navigate these hurdles with ease. See, that is what exactly. As with all swords cards, the Ace of Swords represent power, but the sword is a double-edged blade, implying that it can create and destroy. The message is clear. With power comes responsibility. Spider-Man, spider sense. It will be up to you how you leverage the opportunity for the greater good of all rather than for selfish or aggressive power. You will need a strong heart and mind and need to see how to best use your power for the service of others and yourself. And that is always my intention. Um, so I'm not about to change that now. Not at all. And as I said, lead with love. So I'm always coming from my heart space. The Ace of Swords also encourages you to pursue the truth of the matter and to find justice. You may champion a cause or stand up for your rights or the rights of others, or you may have a new idea for which you are prepared to fight, or you may feel fired up about an issue you're passionate about, such as human rights. And look what we were talking about earlier up. Oh my goodness, I assure you, I just randomly picked this. You have great clarity on the situation and can now argue your point of view with truth and conviction. In other words, you are ready for battle. And I don't really do battle. I just, reflect on things very deeply and I will either write about it or and speak about it and give my perspective. And I always look forward to having a discussion with others on their perspective in very respectful ways. um, so yeah, uh, I know my viewpoint that I talked about earlier is somewhat different, but it is, I do have the clarity of mind for it, and I'm very well much solution oriented to those things, um, that just keeps coming across the earwaves, sometimes in very negative tonality, sometimes in negative language and communication. And sometimes there's ones that have it right and I have the right thoughts and put forth the right arguments and all of that. So it's not about being right or wrong, it's about moving forward in the right way to actually deliver progress, and real tangible progress, as opposed to spinning the same yarn that has not been bearing fruit, or creating anything artistically beautiful with it. That we have the opportunity to take a different perspective and a different approach to it. So that was discussed earlier in the stream, related to the language, the use, the proliferation, the constant bombardment of the word black as it relates to people, and now seeing it being utilized in the cultural sense. I have no cultural affinity to that word. I don't even know what the heck that would mean. And I just say it as I see it. So not everybody has to agree with me or anything. And I'm more than likely people don't. Um, and I called myself an anomaly, but that is how I feel about those things. So I think that called it out very well, and that was the Ace of Swords, and I just picked it for this. Randomly picked it, and that is what it says. And so far, it is bang on with things going on and planned and intent and capability. So very good, very positive, and it's a good reason too for. I've always looked forward to been looking forward to 2023, continue to, and that just adds to it as well, to the excitement of 2023 and what it could mean. So with that, that was the me using that way. So there we go. So let me just, I'm putting it back in the card, and I put the cards away now. So look at that. That was my tarot reading for the day. I don't always get to do it every day, but I try to, as close to every day, but I don't always get to do it every day. But there you go. That was a tarot reading. How about that? So, yeah. So now, let's see. I haven't been keeping up with the chat. Let me check the chat. Okay, everyone's still um, quiet. Okay. So my use okay, nobody on those channels. Yeah, I got to check every now and then where messages are coming from. So the love month for all of you jumping on, you are listening to Jen Drake's in her stream, more than halfway through the stream, and the what I called this stream was love is more than a month, and it certainly is. And I talked about, you know, just waking up every day with the intention of love, period, irrespective of whether it's February or not, or February 14th or not. By all means, celebrate, reach out, but it should be there throughout the year. And one of the things that I realize is that, oh, you missed McCall, you missed my astro tarot card reading. I pulled a tarot card, the Ace of Swords. So and I read what it was saying, and it was bang on in terms of things going on and where my heart space is and everything. So you missed that, and then now you're back. um. So yeah. So love is more than a month. We really need to set our daily intentions to lead with love, which are the three words I certainly, has been my mantra as a brand and as a life philosophy, is to lead with love, so that I set that intention every day when starting my day, and the drama just melts away. Oh, good, you heard some of it. Yeah, the drama just melts away when that happens. You literally live more of a drama-free life when you lead with love, and that's because you get to a mindset where you recognize that people are not their behavior. People learn, behavior is learned. So people are not their behavior. um, Depending on the behavior, sometimes it's just they don't have the right um, learnings or the right resources or the right tools um, to to have their behavior meet with your expectations or not. So if we get to that understanding a little bit deeper, and that's why when you coach, when you're, when I coach you, I try to give you those perspectives on how the mind works, and how, what helps to propel us in that way. And that's where I was saying that those two podcast episodes, Life as an Equation, talks to that a bit. And it really shows up that you can put life in a formula, and you can start to see how everything connects. And I look forward to, as that formula starts to organically change with other aspects of things as I learn and reflect and take my learnings to whole, to different levels, that formula started could start to evolve. But it's really a powerful formula to simplify all the messages you hear about life, and how to live it, and how to be fulfilled and purpose driven, and how to be passionate and find your passion and your why. And we've heard it. It's been all across, with from coming from one different coaches said in different ways and all these things. But how do I simplify it? At the end of the day, what does all that mean? Right? What exactly does all that actually mean? So I put it into a formula, right? And I explain in that podcast, those two podcasts, because there's a part one and part two, what that formula means, and how you can simplify your perspective on life, and just start to put some things in place, and you will start to see how your life literally magnifies differently and manifests differently. And so, please, I urge you guys to listen to the podcast. It's Arrays of Living, ARRAYS of Living. And you can find it on all major channels: Lip Sing, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, even Samsung. Samsung TV has it. It's on the Samsung um, podcast network as well. So, it's on all the major channels. So please go listen to those two episodes. Um, I think you'll find. And of course, there's other ones, the love capacity, and all of those really good ones. But just, and support me. And if you like even this stream, or you like my podcast, I would ask that you please. The only way we grow is with listeners, and please share, and follow, and like, comment. Reviews really also help a long way. I know on Apple. Oh, let me put it in a message. I'll message it to you. There you go. And and any one that um and if you like it, just please, share the love, pass it along, and you're welcome. Pass it along, and just encourage you all to listen, and support me, because that's the only way we grow. And I'm not always good in saying that often enough. I watch others, and I go, why do I always not say that, or forget to say that? I'm being completely thing. And I have, my team saying, say it. And but anyway, those two, though, I think are long standing, and that's why I point you to them. But all, you can listen. The other thing too with the podcast is I have my book. I have the audio to the so once a month I tape a chapter of the book, and so you can hear it in audio form by following the podcast, because every month you get a chapter of the book. And I think we just released, this week we released chapter 5, I believe, of the book. So you can go by and actually see the chapters, and follow those as well of the book. So there you go. But and I'll try to get better at saying. I know people expect it, and I don't do it sometimes. So I'm trying to get better at that. Growth moment. I was just talking about growing and resetting your mindset. So growth moment. So now I'm able to tell you. So like, follow, subscribe, share. I'm so proud of myself. So yeah, so that's um where you need, like where we need to go and be and do. So one of the things to think about is where our mindset is at, because our everything starts with your mindset. And thoughts really go through, so many thoughts go through your mind. How if they're going through your mind out of awareness, which the majority of them are, and you find that things aren't quite going as you expect in your life, because for whatever reason, but you know that your life isn't on track the way you want it to, then the way to assess that is about trying to get hold of what's going through your mind, because more than likely you're manifesting some of those things. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes for someone like me to be saying that, but having seen it for myself in my own life and having changed it, um, I'm not saying it to think, but I'm just saying stop for a moment, think about what's going through, because many times we are actually manifesting the very things, because our thinking is there. So what you think, you feel, and what you feel, you think, and then all these things start to unfold for you, and you've put yourself in that space. But many times that is because of learned behavior, or it's because of um, lack of resources or lack of tools. And how do we get those? And sometimes that means investing in yourself, and you know in time to source, or to learn from others, or to listen, like how people are listening to me today, is to listen to others to help guide you and help deliver you the tools. And what I tend to do is give you the way of thinking, as I say, to change your perspective, to change your life. And I'll come in with all of that will be courses, as well, and things that you can do to help self manage your thoughts, your behavior, and all of that. One of those things is hypnosis. And I'm at the institutional level of hypnotherapy and board designated for hypnotherapy at a master level and an institutional level. So, what the institutional level is through the Divine Tactical Living Institute. We can teach you self hypnosis, and all that. And self hypnosis gives you bigger focus in what you're doing, and it really does help you to focus, and it helps you to address and change negative behavior into positive. So it's a really useful tool to have in your arsenal for when you need it, to help you self correct. And we can also get you certified for hypnotherapy with Krasner methods and other things. So these are all the things that the institute can do for you, and continue, plus with the coaching and and my NLP designation, as well as my timeline therapy designation. I can help you, address some of things in your life that may not. And explain, the thing is too, with the coaching, you get to understand some of your own thought patterns and behavior and neurology, and then through committed effort change that for the better. Because again, I tell you, there's three modes in life: surviving, in recovery, thriving. And most people want to be on the thriving side of that. But a lot of times they get pulled into recovery, and they have to then say, how do I recover? And they do the things to get back to thriving. Or they could simply be in surviving, which means they're just going through the motion and getting through each day, putting their head down on their pillow, getting back up, start the routine over again, look in the mirror, realize they're not really happy, contented, or anything like that, but they still go through the motion and get to the night, put their head down on the bed, get back up, and they keep going. That's surviving. And it also has a aspect of, I don't trust this person, I don't trust that, I don't want no to take no chances. I've been, or they become they victimize and themselves. um and the stories come out and all of it. So all of these things are, we're human. Hey, human. Hey, human. Okay. Um, that's what the human experience is. But there's ways that we can get around those things. There's way we can be more thriving than in recovery than in surviving. And really, you want to get out of those two other spaces, not 100%, because there's nobody in 100% thriving. That life is this life is flow, so it moves and it goes through ups and or rather downs and ups and downs and ups, and there's like a really beautiful infinity flow going on, if you have the right mindset. And so all of these things can evolve, and you get to think about where you are right now, not in the past, and aiming for the future, but not trying to live in the future, because you can't live in the future. You'll be just stumbling. So you have to apply the learnings from the past into the now, operate in the now, aiming for the future. So if you find you're living in the past and you can't let go of certain aspects of your past, then in this now, you probably need the help of someone like me, or, and a coach and stuff like that. The other thing I want to talk about is how we do ourselves a disservice, right? Whether it's in business, whether it's in personal or not. Every Think of the Olympics. There isn't an athlete who gets to the Olympics without a coach. There isn't an athlete who does their sport in the Olympics without a coaches being around. I don't understand why in our life and live in our life, we don't get that a coach is necessary, or some one of those people that you have in your back pocket to support you, guide you, to be there when the tears start and the emotions the emotions start and everything, to put you right back in the right space of and in the right in the right zone that you need to be in to thrive. So we need to look at that to say, when I get to a certain point in my life, one of the people I need to have in my back pocket, on my side, holding my hand, guiding me, is a coach. I happen to believe that that is what you need, a coach. And definitely, if you are in business, care if your business is a small business, a medium business, a SMB, a large size business, doesn't matter. Definitely in business, you need a coach, right? So you need a coach that can handle personal and business, which I'm that type of coach. But you need someone, and I think we look, if your kid said, I'm going in to do a sport, soccer, parents immediately run around looking for coaches for them. But when kids say, I need to do this and all that, there it's not the same, and I don't understand that. Um, we need to have our champions and cheerleaders behind us. And when we are having, emotional challenges, and we're in the recovery, or the surviving mode, that we need a coach to help get us out of there into the thriving. And even when we're in the thriving, we need a coach to help keep us in the thriving, so that we don't backpedal, so that we don't, as we go down the turn, lose sight, and just keep us in the right mindset to do the beautiful flow, of life, and keep our frequencies up, our energy up, and all of that. So, just food for thought. I know a lot of people listening on Wisdom can understand this, because a lot of you on there are coaches of one aspect or another, and to have this discussion with those listening as to why, how you should reframe your thinking about coaches, and understand that they can be, your the elbow grease. They can be the cheerleaders that you need, and they can put things into perspective that is not that isn't blame or anything like that, but is about understanding. It's about bringing you along to start to understand some of the choices you make, why you make it, and the patterns. One of the big things is the patterns. People don't always see the patterns that they're actually, doing or encountering or deciding. And coaches can help you see that a lot with a lot more clarity. And that means then it puts the choice back in your hand to either do something about it or not do anything about it. And that requires you, that is a choice. And you have to decide what you will choose or what you will not choose. So those are some aspects of things to think about, to consider, and to get beyond, so that you can indeed thrive. And to look at this and to take it really seriously about your life and where you want to be. If you look in the now, um, some of us are heading in the direction we want to go. We're not quite there. We understand those things, but we're heading in the right direction and doing the doing to get there. Some people are in the now, and there's a massive chasm between where they are now and where they wish to be, and they have no idea how to build a bridge, or how to put a walkway across that chasm. And coaches can indeed build those bridges for you and get you across the chasm and get you closer to where you want to be. So think about those things, and the guidance. And of course, my streams and streams like mine help you too with the thinking and the shows and all of that we do. Like, on the Get Awesome show, we're going to be doing a year in review next Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the Get Awesome. And you can look at that either on LinkedIn or on Facebook. It also shows on Twitch as well, and YouTube. So, but on Facebook, there's a Get Awesome group that you can join, and we'll be looking at a year in review, and that really looks at things like, um, let me actually pull it up. I think, do I have it? Let me pull it up and I'll tell you what we discuss in the year in review, just so that you can choose, because everything's a choice, if you want to join us. And that is the Wednesday come in at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, and we have a guide in the Facebook group that you can download, guide number one. That's called Year in Review, in which you will be able. Okay, so I'm just opening up the year in review. So we talk in the year in review, we have a guide that you can download and work with, and then join the show and we can talk about it. But it answers, it really lets you assess like the three best things that happened to you in the past year in 2022, and the three greatest memories from that past year. Talk about the three worst things and the three goals that you hit, the some goals that you missed, the greatest lesson learned from the worst things and the missed goals. What did you learn? The main reasons you missed those things, the main reasons you hit the things you did, the most influential people in your life that in that year, and what would you do differently, and what the word that best describes the year in review for you. So we go through and talk about those sorts of things, and we talk about it related to the show and what we did. And I co-host it with Coach Katie, um, and we base it on my own practice philosophy, as well as Coach Katie. Oh my God, I can't speak now. Coach Katie is a ULA coach, and ULA um, and my principles, there's a lot of synergies there, and which is why we co-host together. And between the two of us, we give you really good perspectives. But this year in review is a great thing, especially now in February, to just do that final check. I tend to do this in the fall, the thankful period, I call it, from September to December, when I reflect on everything, my year, and all these types of things. So I'll be capturing those points and what I learned, and being transparent about it and sharing on the show. So anyway, just to give you a little bit of concept of that, and that's in the Get Awesome Facebook group. I encourage you to go join up. It's free. It's a public Facebook group, and that's where you'll be able to catch the show as well, Wednesday, and it's a live show Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, and then from there we go into each month, a new theme, and we discuss that theme, at the beginning of the month and at the first Wednesday of the month. And this month we are doing it the second Wednesday of the month, and that is only because I had a family emergency, an unexpected emergency, so we had to push it back to this coming Wednesday. But normally it's the first Wednesday of each month and the last Wednesday of each month, at 8 p.m. Eastern. So just, you can support, me and Coach Katie with, joining in on those discussions and chatting up, and hearing different perspectives as well. And we try to have guests on those shows, on the show as well. So for this, the year review, we don't have a guest, but for March we'll start having guests. So if you want to be a guest, then by all means reach out to me, and, we'll look at having you as a guest on the show to talk about some of the topics we have planned for the 2023 year of the show. This year in review starts off. This will be our third season. So February kicks off our year three season. So if you wish to be a guest in this season, then please reach out to Jen, or even in the Facebook group, you can reach out as well. But, or you can send your interest to be, part of it, and we can have a discussion of what the topics are coming up for 2023. But reach out to Jen at youareworthmore.co. I want to just emphasize the thing is .co. So Jen with two N's at youareworthmore, all one word, .co. So reach out if you're interested in being a guest, and, we can set up the lineup of guests for the 2023 season that is now going to be kicking off on Wednesday. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that, and, and please join the Facebook group. So there's a lot of things going on, um, that are exciting for, 2023. The Jen Drake's is definitely a solidified brand, and personal brand and content creator and an influencer, definitely solidified and moving in the right direction, growing. So, and I thank you all for that, and the support and the continued, coming back and listening and joining in. So, I had McCall say thank you, as well as, Per se from Brazil say thank you, and I say thank you back. For all those that jump on and talk to me and join in the conversations. It's, really with heartfelt, humility and thanks that I say thank you for the support, and ask you to continue to support, and show your, and show your support for what I do. It really does come from the heart, and, it takes, work and time, but it's truly loving energy that, in which I do this, and I love doing this. So thank you so much. And you'll see from my store, the Jen Drake storefront, which you can find on my website. You can find the products, and here I am It's so terrible being on camera and trying to pull the right things. But you see, this in the store it just says find the blessings in the everyday, but this wasn't a like one of the early demos in which it says find the blessings in the everyday, especially when there seems to be none. And this is one of my divine tastical guidances that's on Instagram. On Instagram, I post my divine tastical guidance posts, and this is one of the guidance posts. But we shortened it in the final design to find the blessings in the everyday. But essentially, it's especially when there seems to be none. So when you feel like you've hit rock bottom, is at that peak is usually when you look to find the blessings, because that's how you get through one day after another. So in the store, if you go to my website jendrakes.com, you will also see the podcast, the storefront and the merch and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so lots coming out. There's a lot more coming, and I'll, in the stream, I'll start to get better at announcing what is coming down the pipe as we get more organized. But a lot of exciting things will be happening in 2023 as the brand grows and its reach grows, and we're going out and really serving and helping people cope. And notice what I said, helping people cope with their everyday lives, both from the personal and the professional point of view. There's one more thing, too, that's launching that I want to talk about, which is our, yes, February 18th is my next stream. And it's someone's birthday that February 18th. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. It's someone's birthday, February 18th, and so it's only when I looked at it that I saw that when you posted it. I was like, oh, February 18th, that's a familiar birthday. So yeah, someone's birthday. But yes, I'll be streaming that evening. So awesome stuff. I'm always looking forward to my streams and just bring in some things. But another thing that's rising that's rising. That's why it's called Rise. Ooh. Is a membership service that we have that is called Rise Elevate Your Why. And it's, oh, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be okay. I look forward to having you there. And and I'll tell you then too about Rise and everything. But it's a membership service that where you can pretty much get nurtured for all year, every week, every month, in different things from leadership to all sorts of different topics, both personal and business oriented topics, given to you in a different way because it's delivered to you from the perspective of new hierarchical way of thinking about these things. So not necessarily in the traditional, there's some aspects of the tradition that holds through, but it's giving you a lot more insights. And this was developed after so many people, when I'm working with them, they say to me, why is this not in school? Why is this not taught? Why are you not teaching in schools and stuff like that? And I would hear this. When we developed this Rise program, we thought about that and we looked to put things that you typically would not hear in a MBA program or in a business teachings or anything. And it's not that we talk about the things differently. We're gonna be talking about leadership. We're gonna be talking about so many things over an ongoing monthly period that you will be getting in that program. You would get let me think of how many I had. Um, just one side. Oh, wait. I just no, I'm looking for something. That's why. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah. So the across the program, across the 12-month period, members who join the program get 77 opportunities or more to interact for support and guidance over and above doing case studies and challenges to reinforce learning. So we touch on so many things every week. You get on 2 hours of coaching on different topics. You get we use tasking and challenges to reinforce the learnings. You get an hour and a half monthly of roundtables and masterminds. We mentor in terms of towards building a self-satisfying enterprise, and you have access to not just myself but another coach, um, just for frame of mind guidance and coping, both from a corporate standpoint and a personal standpoint as well. So there really is team building, um, support for self assurance, thinking, setting your mindset where it needs to be, entrepreneurship, strategies, and tactics. And you know, I love strategy and growth. Personal and business growth, life skills, and coping skills. And coping is like, if you've heard me say the word coping before, it is so absolutely fundamental that we are all armed and empowered, right, to be able to cope in our everyday. Not just cope from the perspective of getting through the day, but cope from the perspective of recognizing choice, recognizing opportunities, recognizing decision, making good decisions, informed decisions, due diligence. I could keep going and going and going. I could talk about this forever long. All of that gets summed up into coping appropriately with whatever life delivers you. And the Rise Elevate Your Why program that we are kicking off in February, March is all about that guidance and mentorship, and it's really is coaching from a different perspective, and it's really what we call a new age, or a new world MBA. It really is a modern MBA that combines, doesn't look to separate, but combines the personal of you with the business entrepreneurial aspect of you, whether you are thinking of starting a business, whether you already have started a business, whether you're newly starting a business. It applies, and it brings all those two pieces right now that we tend to live like this. It brings it together because, as being the owner of the enterprise or the founder of the enterprise, it starts out functioning, from your perspective holistically, as you, not fragmented, not anything, but that central core of essence of you. And then when it passes to someone else, those things start, that culture starts to develop. And how do you do that? How do you build, staff in? How do you embrace staff in the right way? How do you create a really you know how a business that is really there to shake up an industry or to be noticed? How do you do that? How do you operate larger than life when you're deemed to be a small business? All these things we talk about, and it's something that you really should consider. So look out for that. We will be launching that and putting up for registration and all that to that membership in the next little while. So please keep an eye out for that. Also, I'll use the stream and even the podcast to announce when that is there for you to go and look into it, and get going. But it will definitely be different. It will be hand holding, it will be guidance, it will be mentorship. And I think that's what people are looking for and need, to be able to cope in the everyday with everything that they're being hit with, and do it effectively and prolifically for thriving. As I say, not for in recovery necessarily, or surviving. Definitely not for just surviving, but to be either, in recovery or thriving. And in recovery, I should explain that term because that's something I did a keynote on it. Um, in recovery is like, if you have a grief moment or you lost someone, you go into recovery. And by going into recovery, you are in solution in terms of a process of how recognizing that you've been hit in some way, and now you need to recover from that hit, and you need to put it into perspective in a process that gets you out of recovery back into thriving. And so I'm showing you already some of the different thinking and how we teach, and how the Divine Tactical Living Institute teaches, um, in a way that you can live that contented full life, putting things into proper perspective, coping effectively, and really thriving in all the touch points in your life and what you need to do. And that is supported by board designation, and master coach credentials and elite coaching that spans across 42 plus countries. Plus, we can guarantee results. So there you go. So consider all of those things. Keep an eye out, and really, support me, recognize, and just do those things. And what a change from earlier, because there was a time where I would do this very, but not as much, well, not with the confidence and all that, but and that's how much I've grown in 2022. And even it started before 2022, but really culminated in 2022 with that confidence and a surety that I am now, that I'm here and I can help. And there's no doubt there. It's just reaching out and listen, and just stop and pause. Don't be so rushed. I love when people stay on and they're listening, and they'll come on, or they'll um communicate with me and say, oh yeah, I was preparing dinner as I was listening to you, and all of that. So that is wonderful. um and I thank you for all of that. It really is an honor, and I look forward to serving in a much bigger way, and a more holistic way, and one that really helps. And as I help you, I help myself, and as I help myself, I help you. So that is a beautiful symphony of you know the interdependence, and that symphony and dance of people and community and service. So that's where Jen Drakes is at, and where she's going in 2023, with a lot more coming. And I'm just happy to be here. I look forward to my streams, and I'll be back on again on the 18th. I have about another 20 minutes to go, but I just wanted to get those things out, and and lay the seeds of things to look into with the brand. And my website is jendrakes.com, JENN. So it's always Jen with two N's, and Drakes, DRAKES.com. So that's where you'll get all the news and all the things going on. And right now, you'll see us building the information about the tour and all of that as well. So things will start to come out as we go forward. So thank you so much for all of that, and for the support. I look forward to. So yeah. So what So just as we close up with the last 20 minutes, um, I wanna talk about some books, because one of the things I'm starting to try to, and I told you, people go, where do you find the time? Well, I, I do find the time. Um, because even when I finish streaming, I'm gonna go right into taping a podcast. So, but people go, where do you find the time? Because I'm doing what I love. Actually, it never feels. It's just I find the energy. I don't know. I don't know. I find it. There's someplace the other day. I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but I saw that Oprah Winfrey had done 35,000 interviews across her stint on the Oprah Winfrey show of 25 years. I think it was 25 years she was on. She did 35,000 interviews. And when I see things like that, I don't think about where do I find the time, because if Oprah could do that, I think I'm able to do what I need to do to get where I need to go, and to impact those I wish to impact. To have the impact that I wish to have. And I love what I'm doing, and I want to do more of it. So uh, I would much rather be an inspiration to others to say, time is just the number. If you have the passion behind it, and you really are where you want to go, then you just do it. So but one of the things I want to add in, and I've started to do is reading. I've been reading, trying to get reading into my day somehow. And so I've started in the mornings, because as those who they follow me for a while, they know I'm an early riser. I get up very early in the morning. And I have a routine already that I do in the morning when I get up. So now what I've done is I start the morning with a quiet read and meditation. So I have been reading two books. Actually, it's probably three books that I'm trying to get across, like get through, and I alternate and do all that. The two books that I have been there's two of them that I have here to cover that I'll be reading, and many of you might have read it. I'm loving it. Is The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. And I'm sure many of you probably might have read it, especially on Wisdom. I would think a lot of people on Wisdom have read it. But if you haven't read it, I would encourage. And Michael, if you're listening still, and even per se, if you're listening, look for the book, The Seat of the Soul. I think you would find it absolutely um, wonderful. I'm really enjoying that book. And what was a special treat, the version I have has foreword by Maya Angelou, who was such a big inspiration for me in my as I was working through my shites years ago. Maya Angelou was definitely one of those people that was one of the people to help me cope and look at things differently and start to frame my mindset where it needed to go. And even then, I still had a lot of work to do, but at least she was one that started it. So she had a foreword in there on the book that I was such a pleasant surprise, and I just loved reading. Um, it just felt that she was closer there, even though it just felt. It is called. I will put it in the chat for you. I'm just typing it for McCall there. Uh, there, an amazing book, really life changing from my perspective. So I'm really enjoying that one. And then the other one that I am reading, that's also very, very interesting, really it is one called Anatomy of the Spirit, The Seven Stages of Power and Healing. And one's by Caroline Mice. And it's really another very insightful one. So I just wanted to mention those books as I try to, as I try to get through them. But the part that I'm enjoying is just getting back to even, spending an hour of the morning hour, that quiet time in the morning, where I am reading again. And I don't know if I've ever called out this. I think I did in my book as well. In my book, I mentioned it, and in many of my articles or podcasts, I've mentioned it. As a child growing up, when there was strife in the home, my reprieve was the library, the local library. And to the point that I had built a really nice second mother relationship with the librarian. And she had a chair there for me. And when I came after school or whenever I come, she would have a list of books already pulled out on a table by the chair, and I would be able to go and sit and read. And then when I couldn't finish the book, I would take them out, and I'd take out at that time. I don't know if they've restricted it now, um, but I would take out a ton of books and go home, and I would be up all hours of the night reading these books. And I would have a whole system of reading, putting in a thing to take back to the library to come back, continue. Like it was a whole committed, but the library was my reprieve, and reading was my joy. And I got lost in the stories and the hope they gave. And it showed me that, what I was going through wasn't the end of everything. I could craft and create um, the life I wanted. So it really took me out of what I was dealing with as a child. And so to get back to reading really means something phenomenal to me, um, because I was so much in the building mode. And yes, I was reading, but not like having a book. There's nothing like having a book. You know what I mean? And flipping through and just slowly going through one page at a time. And as you get into it, you're just reading faster and faster. There's nothing like that. So to get back to touching a book and reading the book and all of that is just been surreal. That's the only way to put it. It has been surreal. So I mentioned that because if for anybody that's been putting off reading, that has a love of reading, then yeah, get back to it. And consider I'm an author and I write, right? Yeah, I'm just really being grateful and appreciative for having brought the physical book back into my life, not just reading it online or through a Kindle or whatever, but actually touching and things. So that's really special. And those are the two I'm working on right now. I'm still testing how long, because there was a time when I would sit and I would literally read from beginning to end in 24 hours. I'm not saying I'm doing that now because I do too many other things, but to have that 1 hour in the morning is precious indeed. So yeah, so that is um, what has been going on and what I look forward to in 2023, and all the things that were planned that are starting to unfold and become very real and very tangible, uh, is exciting. And I want the same excitement and things for all of you out there, because as I always say, and with us coming to the end, I really want this message to go out, and I try to have it in all my streams. But you guys were all born perfect, and you were all born magnificent, and you were given a purpose and gifts that were to lead you back to the purpose. And I really want you guys to go on that journey and travel that journey, because it is truly one of the most gratifying, one of the most growth oriented, and one of the most awesome journeys to go on. And I know it's hard to fathom if you haven't gone on the journey or haven't committed to the journey in the way you need to, because you do need commitment. Um, you do need to start right at home with yourself. Uh, and it's so hard to put into words, because when I look at where I was and where I am today, it's truly, truly night and day. It truly, truly is night and day. And I definitely wasn't in, how should I say, you know, in plight or anything like that, but it just wasn't fulfilling. It became no longer fulfilling. And now, even though, I'm still dabbling in the world that I was, because it's health related, and everything I do, what I'm doing is around health, so it still has merit. It is so much more satisfying and so much more fulfilling, um, that it's I don't that I no longer feel like I am missing something, or that I there's a void there, or that I'm not giving my best. So I have the energy to balance it all, to do it all, and to continue to push forward, push forward, push forward, because I get so much back. And this streaming is one of the ways I get back. So, even though people go, how do you stream for that amount of time? I can actually go longer, because it doesn't, it's just so natural for me. Um, and there's so much desire to make a difference, and to make an impact. And if anything that I say makes an impact with one person, then I have done my job. And I don't always know that. I hear it afterwards, sometimes in the most strangest of ways. In the strangest of ways, I hear. But that is what. So it has been my honor, um, once again, to be here, and for you to understand why I'm here and why I do what I do. And I have been going since like early morning, and I haven't stopped. And I'm going to do my podcast, and then, yes, I will go and get some rest and relaxation. But um, yeah, so what can I tell you? Uh, until the next time on the 18th, same bat channel, same bat time, 8 p.m. If I can start a little earlier, I will. But for now, it's 8 p.m. is when I come on, and we'll go for the same amount of time and everything. So yeah, so it has been, wow, it has been 8 more minutes, and woohoo! So hopefully you've enjoyed. No one's jumped on and been a guest or anything. I usually challenge you guys, but but McCullough and others have been talking to me, and text, and messaging me and all of that. So it isn't like I've been alone or anything, but I love when guests jump on and chat sometimes and give me their perspective. But everyone just sat and listened, which I still appreciate. So thank you very much, for that. So, with just 8 more minutes to go, we have talked about, just to do a full recap in the time that we have left, is, the title of the stream was Love is More Than a Month, and it certainly is. And as we go into and get through day after day of the love month, I want us to truly, truly embrace and remember that love should be the intention each and every day. It is considered to be the greatest of things to aspire to and to get right, is the ability to cast out of you the light of love. And so it should be a daily practice, and not avoid getting into the superficiality of the three words I love you, where it becomes like a routine, and after a while it just comes out of your lips and you don't really put the intention behind it, you just say it. Try to get out of that and truly have intention behind the words I love you. Or, and for my mantra, I go with lead with love. So by all means, try to make those three words your mantra. And on my storefront, you will see lead with love items like my water bottle and stuff. But it really is a way to get you to reinforce that as a genuine, sincere intention of your daily living. And it allows you to interact with people at such a different level. Nobody gets under your skin. And because you're leading with love, you can, surmount confrontation, anything. And I actually don't get a lot of I don't get that, a lot of that, because I'm always, approaching from a point of love. And so those were some of the things we talked about. And the other thing was that I talked about was my perspective on just the other significance of the month being Black History Month, and the word Black, and to what degree it's being proliferated out um, as an identity mechanism or label, or however we want to call it. And my perspective on that, um, is somewhat different, and I think it's a little different than people would expect, especially coming from someone, a person of color. I don't think I am the only one thinking that way and frustrated by some of the things being seen and said and done and the way they're being done. But my perspective is a rejection of that label, a refusal to be identified by that label, a refusal to pass it down to my next generation. My commitment is to nip it in the bud with me as a generation that was subject to it, and not pass it down to my next generation and my children and their children, and to do what I can do as an individual to stop that word from being used. And I do it not just for the word of Black. I really need this to be understood. I'd have the same protest for the word white. I do not get these two labels. I do not support these two labels. And I think we are better than that. I think we should be more intelligent than that. And I understand the viewpoint of neutralizing the word, but I don't even see why we would even adopt the word. Um, and I think we have to find better ways of communicating, better ways of embracing, better ways, of just being one human to another, and connect based on cultural differences and understandings and embracing and all of that. But those words are not culturally based. There's no culture around this. There's no anything like that around that language. And so I talked about that and my inability to support it on that level. But I also talked about that I do support the celebration of those that paved the way for our freedoms, that those that, helped to change the laws, those that helped to open up education, those that helped to, I do support the celebration of that and the honoring of those ancestors, and also honoring the ancestral ties that is there in our history. So I want that to be very, very clear. They're two very, very distinctive things. And I support one on one basis and not on the other, and don't support the other on another basis. And then we talked about it being a heart month as well, meaning actually the actual heart in your body, and how to doing things and committing to doing things to keep your heart healthy, to keep you alive to as long as possible, and to treasure the life that we are given to lead and the human experience that we are supposed to go through, and do that with good food, good, solid, healthy food, movement to keep our hearts the way it is, and all of the nurturing that we need to give ourselves. So love starts with us first and then overflows to others. So in the love month, we should also be loving ourselves. And on that note, I this is where we will then close off the stream. And I thank you with all my heart for listening, for supporting, and for being there for me. It is truly felt, honored, and appreciated. So, on that note, with four, three, two, one, we will wrap up. Thank you very much. Good night. And I will see you on the 18th for my next stream. And in the meantime, between that, please listen to the podcast, Arrays of Living. Thank you very much. Have a good one.